Hello guys, it's your boy Bismarck Oman here once again. Today I have an artwork for us to learn, okay? As I said it earlier on, we are learning whatever comes on our way, we learn it together, okay? So don't forget to leave a comment and okay? Like this video, subscribe to my channel, okay? God bless you so much for your support. Without wasting my time, let's get into the artwork, okay? So before we move on, let's try and create a new document. We'll create a new document here. So as it is opening, we exercise patience a little for it to open. Okay, so we have it here. So we are using 1006 or let's say 1500. Okay, 1500 by 1800. Okay, so we leave the resolution to be 300. Okay, though other people do it 72, you can do it in any way, but I know the standard is 72. Okay, so you leave the other settings the same. So let's create a document. So we have our artboard here where we will be working, okay, where we'll be doing our artwork. We have it here nicely. Okay, so now let's move on to our elements or the materials or what we are supposed to do the artwork with. Okay, our source files. We have a grilled chicken here. We also have a crown. Okay, I've already taken the backgrounds off. The other time I explained, or in my other video, I taught you guys how to use the pen tool to remove backgrounds. Okay, so you should know that. We also have our file here, or our cork here. Okay, we have another cork here, but we are not actually going to use this cork. We are only going to use the comb of the cork. Okay, so that's what we need here. So let's work on this one first before we move on. So before that, let's use the magic wand tool, okay, to make a selection. So we select the comb here, but we don't want white edges around our comb. Okay, sometimes you make selections and you see that the edges are white, or the edges take the background of your picture. We don't want it that way. Okay, so we move to select, modify, expand. Okay, so we'll leave the settings like that, then okay. So you can see that now the selection have moved to the inner part of the artwork. Okay, so that we won't get any white edge. So we max it up, okay, by using the maxing section. So as you can see, we have this red edges, means that at least our selection went a little bit inside. Okay, so that we won't get these white edges around the comb. So with your max selected, or your max thumbnail selected, what will you do? Press Ctrl I to invert, or Command I to invert your max. So now we have the file here. So let's take our pen tool to select the exact place, or crop out the exact place that we want. Okay, so I'm just making the selection of where I think it is okay for me to use. Okay, so that will be it. So I just make the selection, but first let's convert this one to a smart object. So right click on it, move down, convert to smart object. Okay, then now let's right click here, then make selection, leave the settings like that, then okay. Then now you can max it up again, convert to smart object. Okay, I would like to rasterize it. Okay, so that's it. If I rasterize it, means that I can't change anything on it again, unless maybe I undo it. Okay, but let's say if I close Photoshop right now and I want to work on it, I can't do anything about it again. Okay, but if you convert it to a smart object, that one you can work on it. Okay, you just move into the main artwork and work on it. So let's move our comb to this file or this cork. So let's just move it this way a little bit. Okay, let's try and adjust it by holding Control. Okay, and adjust the nodes. Okay, so you get your desired okay. So when you have something like this, okay, so just off it right now and let's go to this place and take our crown, bring our crown in, resize it, Control T to transform. So we scale it down, bring it up. Okay, bring it up here. Good. So now let's try and let's expand it a little bit, not that much. Okay, now I want us to make sure that the down part of the crown, like it should fit the head of the file. Okay, so let's hold Control, let's try to make small adjustments. Okay, let's try to make small adjustments. Okay, I think that will be okay. So let's bring it down a little bit like this. Then now let's duplicate our crown. Okay, so Control J, then let's bring one down behind the file. Okay, so it comes at the back part of the file. Now let's move on to the one in front. Okay, so let's use our eraser tool, let's expand it a little. So let's zoom it up a little bit. So now we can clean this part of the crown. Okay, to make it look as if the file is wearing the crown. Okay, so that will be it. Let's move it this way a little bit. Okay, let's move the one behind too, so that it won't show. Good. So we have it there. So let's clean this particular one here. So we use the eraser tool again to clean it off. Okay, now I want us to take this comb out, this particular comb, okay, of the file. Let's take it out. So we'll just select it. Let's use the lasso tool to just cut it off. Okay, so delete. Okay, so that will be it. Now let's bring in our comb, the other comb. Good. So we have this comb here. Let's try to resize it a little. Okay, something like that will be okay. Trying to adjust it a little bit. Okay, good. So let's clean this edges with our eraser tool. Okay, something like that. Then the crown tool, let's try to clean this part a little bit, and the comb tool the same. Now the crown, let's clean this particular side. Okay, let's clean it off. Clean it off so that it will look real. Okay, so we clean that side off, and this side too the same. Okay, good. So that's it. So I think we have what we want now. So let's try and add some realism. Okay, let's add some shadows. Okay, so that our file can look a little bit real. Okay, so let's take the comb first. The inner part of the comb should be a little bit darker. Okay, the one entering into the crown should look a little bit dark. Okay, so let's use this level adjustment tool. Okay, so let's clip it to it, then make it a little bit dark, not too much. Okay, now be in the clipping mark, Control I to invert it, then take your brush tool. Okay, make sure the foreground is white, then you reduce the flow a little bit to 50. Okay, then we paint the inner parts, the file. So I can take so let's kind of creating shadows around it. Good. Then this part of it too. Now let's add shadow to the crown. You see this part, if you are wearing a crown, at least there will be a shadow being cast under the crown. That's in between your head and the crown. Okay, so let's create a new layer here like this. Okay, so let's put it here, then we change the color to black. Okay, so now we can just create this shadow on top of the crown, or the in between the head of the fowl. Okay, so something like that. Shouldn't be too much. Shouldn't be too much. So we are still trying to create realism. Okay, there should be some kind of realism. Let's try and use this one here. Turn it a little bit. Okay, so something like that will be okay. Good. So let's reduce the opacity of the shadow a little bit. It looks too dark. And this one too the same. Let's reduce it a little bit. Okay, so this part of the file too, let's try and add shadow here. So something like this. Let me use this particular brush, okay, to create that kind of shadow here. So that will be it. Let's reduce this one a little bit. And then the shadow too, let's reduce it a little bit. It's too dark. Okay, so that will be it. Let's create another layer again. I want to add more shadow to the crown, the under part of the crown. Okay, so this time around I will just put it down here. Okay, so that will be it. Our chicken kin is ready, or our fowl kin. So copy it, group it. Okay, so we group all of them and name it cock or fowl. Okay, please don't get your mind shouldn't get twisted. Okay, so we have the file here, so let's copy it. We are taking it to our main artwork. So V, Control V, then expand it a little bit. Or let's reduce it. So something like this would be okay. But before that, let's save our artwork. Let's save it file. Okay. Save it on the desktop or anywhere you want to save it. You can save it there. So let's duplicate this one. Let's off this particular one and create smart objects. Okay, so now we can just move all of them in. Let's bring in the full chicken or the chicken. We are putting it behind the fowl like this. So we are just trying to create something, okay, to make our good. So we have our so now let's add some shadows. Okay, the down part of it, we just, or highlights. Okay, the down part of the chicken at least can be a little bit darker. Okay, then where the light is supposed to come, we'll put it. It depends on our background. Okay, so let's add some highlights to it. So we are doing it exactly the same as we did the comb. So brush, expand the brush a little bit. So let's reduce the opacity. So we need highlights, okay, to create some kind of realism. Good. So now you see the fowl and the chicken, the full chicken. There should be some kind of shadows, okay, in between them. Okay, that one also constitutes realism. Okay, so let's try and do that too. So let's add new layer and take our brush. Okay, so I guess you are getting what I am doing. So I'm just taking my time to explain things for us to get it. Okay, so let's reduce the opacity a little bit. Okay, something like that would be okay. Let's take this long brushes that I created so that we can just use it to create something like this. Okay, they should be a little bit slim. No, it's too slim. So we are still adding the shadows. Guys, please don't forget to leave a comment and please subscribe to my channel, please, so that we can learn or do more videos. So as you can see, I'm still adding shadows to the work to aid realism, okay, to help our work look a little bit real. Good. So I want us to blend up the edges of the file. This particular one, you see it has a straight edge, so let's create a clipping mask. Then take our brush, let's use a round one, okay. Let's the foreground to be black, that's too much. So that's good. So let's create our background now. So let's try and group. Let's do this, please. I want us to group them. So write main, okay. Then let's add our background now. So let's off the main, or let's pick our color from the chicken, then we can off it. So I think this color is okay. And then we can off the main, then add new layer, then take our brush, add some light to this one, okay. So which means that the light is coming straight from the middle of the artwork, okay. So you see it. Now we still have that edge here, that straight edge. So I want us to clean it off. Take our brush and clean it off a little bit. Okay, so guys, we are just trying to create something, okay. At least we can learn how to use the tools. So you can see that this part of the file is facing where the light is coming from, so which means that the edges of the file need to the full chicken need to be what, brighten up, or need to have light, okay. So let's try and add light to it. So hold control and click, then it selects the file, okay, or the chicken, sorry. So we just add in light to it, something like this will be okay, not too much. Then now invert it, Control I, then take your brush, reduce the opacity a little bit, 40 will be okay. The foreground should be white, okay. Let's bring out the opacity small. Gosh. So it works at certain places. Okay, so this part of the file needs to be a little bit darker. Okay, needs to be a little bit darker because those places are inside. So okay, so that will be it. Now the file 2, we need to add some light to the file. Okay, so Control I. Oh, sorry. Let's embed it into the file, then Control I. So I'll just put it around this side. Okay, then reduce it. Try to add some light to our crown. Okay, so click here, then shift, hold the shift. Okay, so let's add some light to it, then the file to the same. Okay, so now let's try and add some dark shades to it. Okay, so let's add another highlight. So this time around it will be dark. Okay, Control I, and take your brush. So the edges of the file, you make it, this part of it dark a little. So I believe you are all watching. Okay. So that's good. So we are still adding highlights to the artwork. Okay, we are still adding highlights to the artwork so that we can get some kind of realism. Okay, not too much. Okay, so we are almost done now. When we are done with this, we just move to color grading, then that will be all. So now let's add one more layer. This time around we are adding some light to it. Okay, we are adding some light too. So let's change the blending mode to screen, reduce the opacity a little. So now we want the edges of the file because it's brighten, or the chicken, sorry, the brighten areas. Guys, I hope you are watching. So we are just adding light to it because the light is coming from behind, so it needs to bright at the edges of the file. Okay, it needs to bright at the edges of the file so that it will create some kind of realism. Good. So guys, we are done. So now let's color grade it. Okay, so my first color grading, but before I color grade, let's try and merge this work first. So let's make all one like this, group all of them. Okay, then let's create a smart let's make a smart selection of them. Okay, so you press Shift Alt Command E, okay, to create a duplicate of the entire artwork. Okay, so now we can, so let's try and convert it to a smart object like this. Go to filter. So now we want to add a little bit of texture or a little bit of depth to it. Okay, so let's increase the sharpening a little bit. Okay, so I want us to reduce the saturation and increase the texture here. Okay, not too much. This particular one should be small. The texture too needs to come down a little. Okay, and let's add more of the sharpening. So as I said it earlier on, a lot of designers have their own approach, but me, this is my approach. Okay, so let's add a color lookup, okay, to it. So we just go through and check the one that will be okay for us to use, and we use it. So I'll just go through. So this one, for instance, is self-explanatory. Okay, so you just go through to look at the one that is okay for you. Then you select. So I think this one is okay for me. So guys, basically this is it. Okay, thank you for joining, and please don't forget to like and subscribe.